Hello, welcome to episode 52 of the Two Russells podcast with me, Russell Jervis.
And me, Russell Quirk.
And we've just been reflecting a little bit on all that money that is moving around from episode 51. 10 billion. Did he say £25 million a day?
A day. And my big takeaway from that, apart from the fact that they're almost
we invested in dollars straight away, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah. One of the property industry's best kept secrets in terms of this facility that exists to help agents help their clients with, either buying or selling here to go abroad or vice versa. But the trends that their data then provides to us in this kind of very turbulent political environment, and the fact that we hear all this rhetoric, don't we, about reports and forecasts and suppositions about millionaires leaving the country and so on. What Lumon are able to do, as we saw, I think, in the last episode, is actually put some tangible evidence to that and say, yeah, actually it's happening. There are people leaving. Yeah. But then also the big positive for me was the fact that it doesn't seem to be a kind of one direction thing. There are people coming here.
They're coming back.
And they're coming back. And I think over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see a lot of people returning from Monaco, Dubai, Italy and the US back to this country. So I think whatever your politics are, let's not go there because it'll tell me off. But there is always, in politics, there's always two sides to the coin.
Every story, yeah.
So I think we'll start seeing some optimism return pretty soon.
And with all these people coming back or even leaving and going, they're going to be going somewhere to find a home, aren't they? So they'll go to estate agents. But most people's journey now starts online, which leads us in a lovely way, onto our guest today. So welcome Graham Patterson, co-founder of Jitty. And I'm just going to quote here for you, for our audience. We hated buying our homes. And I think that was all three of your co-founders and partners. So we've built something better.
Yeah.
Tell us more about it. Graham, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's really nice to be here. Me and my two co-founders, we worked at Deliveroo together at the same time. Deliveroo had an IPO, which left us with a bunch of money coming in, much less than we'd hoped for. But that led to us all kind of buying homes and changing lives in a similar time, in a similar way. And we kind of realized collectively, oh, this is really bad. We thought it was a horrible experience. For me, I thought it was a horrible experience the first time I did it because I was sorting price low to high every time. And
was it the first time all three of you had actually ventured into buying property?
I think for one, yes. For me, it was my second. And for the other one, James, I think it was his third or fourth, actually. So we've done it a few times. But we just kind of had this collective realization of like, this is really, really bad. There's got to be a better way to do it.
What were the bad points? What were the things that were...
I think the bits for me that I really disliked were having to check multiple portals every day to see what's there, sifting through loads of things, having real needs for me and my family that we had to translate into some like really basic stuff. So like, we wanted to be near a good school and there's 3 good schools. So when you look at it on a map, you've got to kind of mentally draw a little picture around them. And then throughout the whole transaction flow, we found communicating on WhatsApp with my partner to try to manage this thing was horrible. Being left on our own in the dark, trying to work out, which conveyancer should we go with, which mortgage broker will lend to us when we're in this specific position. And realizing as we went along that no one was on our side, like no one. Even the conveyancer was my one big hope, and they did a great job, but we realized they're there to protect themselves, and they've already got half the money up front. They're generally not that incentivized to keep things going.
Yeah.
So hang on, are you saying pretty much every part of the property process, from search to transaction from an agent perspective, but also from a conveyancing perspective, and the money side, you think it's all broken?
I think there are ways to improve it. And I think if you look at it, one of the big comparisons for me was like when I buy a book for £5, I'm kind of treated like a bit of a god. Like I get a bird's eye view of what's happening, what other customers think, all this stuff.
Tracked,
turns up my house. If it's the wrong thing, they'll just give me a refund and then hope that I send it back. But when I'm buying a house for several £100,000, I'm kind of treated badly all the way through the process. I feel like I have to beg agents sometimes to let me do a viewing and have to prove to them that I've got the funds, the budget, all the rest of it. And then I just found it a horrible experience.
So is Jitty going to replace agents?
No, I don't think any technology will. I think people have shown us time and again that they don't just want an agent to like show someone around the house, although I think that's always a thing that humans do really well. I think delegating trust is a thing that is incredibly hard to do to technology, and I think you want to delegate trust.
Because you think there's no trust in the process. So as in buyer and seller can't trust the agent, can't trust conveyancer.
You don't know who's on your side, I think is what Graham was saying, wasn't it? You working for me or you working for them?
Let's say I want to sell my home, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to price it. I don't know how to which photos I should take, which photographer I should use, how I should describe it, where I should market it. Like, how should I play off potential buyer leads against each other? All of that, as well as the transaction side. So I need to delegate that trust to someone. I can do it myself. I don't trust myself. And for me to use a system, use technology to do all of that to sell the home, I think the pitch to my wife would be so difficult that like I don't want to take that risk. I'd rather pay a fee. And I always think of it as like a pilot in an airplane, right? It's like the technology can fly the plane, it can actually take off and land, do all of that. I still really want to pilot there because I'm delegating the trust to that person in the cockpit. And I actually don't want their hand on the rudder or whatever it is like the whole time. I want the technology to do it.
But you understand there has to be a blend of technology and people.
Yes. And I think you can't delegate trust fully to technology. And I think this is too important. So that's my take. I might be wrong.
So what is Jitty? Are you a portal? Are you a consolidator of portals? Are you something different? Are you trying to be better than what exists, or is this a completely new invention? Just explain what we'll talk about fundraising in a minute. Let's talk about your elevator pitch in terms of let's say I'm a hard-nosed investor and so's he.
He doesn't like elevators. Let's not put you in an elevator.
The fire escape stairs pitch.
Yeah. How do you articulate actually what you do and what problem you solve?
Oh, it's a good question because there are different ways depending on who I'm speaking with, and there's also.
Well, estate agents are predominantly our listeners, aren't they? So a pitch to estate agent.
The pitch to estate agents is I think, quite straightforward. We're an AI property portal, and because we use AI, we're able to list your homes for free, understand your homes super, super well, and show them to buyers that might not have considered that particular area. So Rightmove is fantastic. If you like, show me 2-bedroom homes in Soho, absolutely use Rightmove. But if you say, I want to be somewhere a bit vibey, in a city, I don't mind which city, I want to be near a good school, I want to be within X minutes door to door of my grandparents, then we can help.
So would I go to ChatGPT or Copilot and put those terms in, and that would lead me to Jitty, or would I go to Jitty first of all?
Generally, coming to Jitty is the best way to do it. We are discoverable through ChatGPT, and we're working with them to increase that discoverability and be on their app store and whatnot. But generally speaking, you can do that all in Jitty. And so that's the pitch to agents, is we just want to help find more buyers that wouldn't otherwise find your homes.
So they subscribe, do they, the agent?
Some do. So it's a mixture. So we were faced with a bit of a chicken and egg, as everyone is, when we started this marketplace.
Well, the portal conundrum, which is, do we need stock or do we need potential buyers, applicants? Well, you actually need both. So, but what do you tackle first, right?
And the extra portal conundrum is, I think there's two parts to it. One is like the business model in the UK and most of Europe is built on charging supply. So you've got to, breaking it is even harder. And there's like dozens of dead bodies around. So when you go and you say, hey, we're doing this thing, they roll their eyes and they're like, well, we've heard that before.
We're the new Rightmove. Of course you are.
Of course you are. And if if that's true, I don't want you to succeed because you'll just be the new Rightmove.
Well, and if it's true, you're going to need £1 billion in consumer marketing funds.
So fees just gone up this week for Rightmove, I hear, Russell.
Yeah, sorry, 18% you were saying?
Ooh.
Is that justified? Answer's on a postcard.
Let's get Russell onto Rightmove.
The answer's no.
So when we started, but what we realized that we can do is create a crawler, scraper. We think of it as indexing homes like Google would. And what's particularly challenging about that in the past is that building that technology is really brittle. There's 24,000, something like that, estate agents in the UK to write a crawler for each one, and then they change it. It's just very, very difficult. So we've created what we think of as like an agentic crawler that kind of acts like, I can't remember who said this originally, but like an army of 10,000 interns that every day just Google, find the property market, find all the agents, look for their homes, bring them in. So that's the main way that we get most of our homes, and we're currently up to about 25% of the UK, all homes with that.
Right.
So hang on. So a property could be found by a consumer that then finds it on the Jitty platform.
Yeah.
How do they then engage with the agent, given that the agent might say, Jitty who?
Yeah. So we link through to the agent. So that is the main and only CTA, is they click view listing. It takes them to the agent's listing page. So
On their website?
On their website. So they get the SEO juice, and they can handle that as an organic lead, totally free, and they can collect the data that they normally do and do whatever they want. So we really try to build it like a Google rather than like a portal.
Okay.
So right, okay. So it's a property search facility that isn't a portal, effectively. So it's a search engine.
Correct.
It's going down to greater levels of detail.
But if you're giving
Correct.
the lead to the agent, how do you monetize? How do you make any money?
So, in all honesty, that's been part of what we've explored. Our first 2 years were hell-bent on, we think, and this was the pitch to investors, is we think that we can find a way to create a kind of property search engine, if you will, that is so much better than what's available that we can get buyers to come to us. And it took a couple of years, we proved that's true. So now we've said, right, if you can't charge for listings, how do you monetize? How does this work? So we launched a partnership with London and Country Mortgages, where we have like an affordability calculator. So if you come and tell us, you know, your deposit, your salaries, we'll show you homes that you'd be likely to be able to afford, and as well as the price, it'll tell you what your monthly payments would be, which is quite nice and useful. And then if you like that, you can click through to LNC,
their website.
who will kind of do referral fees. And we're building a way now that's going to launch in the next week or so. So maybe a couple of weeks ago from when people listen.
Depending when this goes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
20th of Feb,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that today?
yeah.
So no pressure on our engineers who are currently working on
Yeah,
this.
you better get it out the door now.
We're building a kind of seller plan. So if you come to Jitty and you say, I'm looking to sell my home, tell us some details. We'll say, okay, cool. Here's the actionable steps you can take to sell your home for more. Like, you know, easy one is like, you've taken a photo of your garden, like it's unkempt. That changes the value by typically this much. To get a gardener to come and do it will cost a few £100. It'll add $5,000 to the value of your home. We recommend doing that. And so helping hook up people to those service providers.
So it becomes an affiliate play.
An affiliate play, as well as here's the estate agents that we'd recommend you speak with.
Okay.
And making those introductions. And we want a really like deep partnership with agents. So the way that I think about it is, if you pay to list, and I don't like to name check competitors, but if you pay if you charge agents to list, then you are charging them to exist, right? Like,
But they all do, right? So
And they all
whether it's
do.
on the market, Zoopla, Rightmove, that's their fundamental value
That's their business model,
right?
Exactly.
It's charge you, and actually, we can argue this all day long. They charge you regardless of the quality of the lead, regardless of the result.
Yeah.
They charge you.
Yeah. So if you want to exist, you
And in
kind of
new
got to
homes,
be on
they
it.
really charge you.
And we don't want to do that. Instead, we want to charge agents to grow their business in a really manageable, monetizable, clear way. So I'd much rather a model where an agent in Bristol can say, if there's a home between £1 and £3 million in this postcode that comes up, I will pay you for that lead because I want to grow my business in that way.
Data.
Yes. So charging them for access and helping to make those introductions.
So a bit like a
facilitating.
get agent play, which is we'll provide the marketing, we'll provide the lead, and you decide as an agent whether you want
Will
it
be
or
the
not.
platform, yeah.
Because you're presenting it as, look, this is a great lead because.
Yeah, I think there's going to be different ways to approach it, but I think that general problem of solving for agents of, would you like to pay to grow your business? We want to do.
And why wouldn't they? Because this is just my view, but I think it's shared by a lot of people. The fundamental process of the consumer searching for a new home, any home, but a new home to buy, is completely and utterly broken. We all do it. You know, Rightmove is a very popular site, but we all go onto Rightmove, and we are now predisposed to have to almost know the answer to the questions that we're seeking the answers to in advance, right? So we say, okay, St Albans, £1 million, 4-bed, detached. Okay, so there's all sorts of problems around that. First of all, the fact that you can't search intuitively. You can't search on Rightmove, for instance, for a house with
exactly
2
what you
acres,
said, yeah.
or a pool or whatever. But also, and this I think is what I understand you're doing, if you can search by lifestyle rather than predetermined fields. So, for instance, what I would search for is, I need to be half an hour from Chelmsford. I also need to be able to get into the city in less than an hour on the train.
Near a paddle court.
Near loads of paddle courts.
With a big garage.
Places to walk the dogs, character house, and crime rate below average. That then serves me up, maybe St Albans, maybe Bishop Stortford. And I think Bishop Stortford, I never thought of Bishop Stortford. Is that what you're doing? So you're putting a new possibility in front of buyers that they otherwise would not themselves have searched for.
Correct.
Right. That's clever.
Oh, thank you.
Why? No, but therefore, and I think it's completely necessary. Why wouldn't agents pay for that on a subscription basis if it's far better than Rightmove on the market and Zoopla, which it is?
So I'm quite a straightforward person, and I don't mean that like some kind of weird humble brag. Like I like things to be simple where they can be simple. I think if we charged agents, not only would it be difficult to kind of get them on board, and it would be.
Or because you then become the fourth portal.
And then with the fourth portal and
You're competing in that space, and everything goes with that.
And the agent, as you said, say, not another one.
Yeah. But also I'd think then what happens if the agent says, no, I won't pay? Then I'd say, cool, I can harm the user experience for buyers by not showing their homes.
Yeah.
And I think you're in a kind of weird tug of war where you're trading off revenue versus your customer experience. And I much prefer there was a lot of complexity in it, but like large part of why Google won the search engine wars was because they were like, we're just going to create this fantastic user experience that does not compromise and shows everything that is great. Whereas Yahoo was still charging to kind of be in certain places. Google said, we're just going to serve people whatever they need, and then we'll sell space around the edges. And I think that's the kind of thing that I prefer. The thought of ever charging an agent and saying, we'll take your homes off and hide them from buyers just feels like we're hurting everyone.
Do you
It's
see
a no-brainer just for an agent to give you their stock to enable to reach more buyers.
Well, they should, but you're going to find it anyway, as you're saying,
Yeah.
and either through crawling or by the way that AI and LLMs are going to start serving up results, right? So that
LLMs, that's the word I learnt this week. Yes,
it's language models. Yeah. Well, look, that's the new SEO.
Large language models. Yeah.
So that's the new SEO, because there's no point now being optimized on Google for regular search results, because ask any 16, 17-year-old that's doing their homework right now on a laptop. ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. So that's the way people are going to search for homes in the future. So that you clearly understand, so that's great. What's the exit for you? I'm going to jump straight to it, because you come from a background of Deliveroo, TransferWise, businesses that have raised loads of money, lost loads of money, raised more money, listed. So presumably as entrepreneurs, if I was being unkind, I could maybe make the allegation that you're just doing this for a check. I'm actually already convinced by this conversation that you're genuinely looking to provide a legacy solution to a big, big problem. But the check must be appealing. So what does that look like in terms of an exit in 3, 5, 10 years' time for you and your two co-founders? Yeah,
it's a good question. I think for me, like you say, the opportunity we've got is massive, and I feel like we would be doing that opportunity a massive disservice and the whole property market a disservice to not see this through, to do it properly and big. And we're not thinking just UK, because if you look at, we acquire supply of homes digitally, and we acquire users digitally, and so far for free. We've spent nothing on acquisition, and we can talk about it, but we're growing very fast. So what's stopping us launching France?
Yep.
You think like compute costs. You're like, oh, that's quite nice. Let's do France. And France has a couple of portals kind of here and there. Your Spain's and Germany's have more dominant ones, but they're
Scout 24 or whatever.
Yeah, but they're similarly quite same business model issues, I think, as we face here, but also like quite outdated in their own way and whatever else. So I think there's nothing stopping us from becoming the world's property
platform. The US
platform.
must be the most attractive market, surely, in terms of volume and innovation.
Zillow, isn't it, in America?
Yeah, Zillow. But you've got some pretty innovative agents out there that use a lot of technology. People like Compass and EXP, Keller Williams. They build themselves now as tech-focused property real estate platforms. So they surely would understand your concept and get on board.
Yeah, they definitely would. And there's also the multi-listing service in the US.
Of which there are hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they kind of get aggregated. So I think the job of solving for supply in the US is just like a lot easier than it is for here. The job of breaking through the consumer consciousness is probably a bit harder because like Zillow is, I was going to say more known than Rightmove even. I think it maybe even is. And some of the agents are so big. You've got your Open Doors as well, your Redfins. They're so well known that they become their own brand. So I think breaking through on the consumer side is expensive, and I would rather wait until we can do it really, really, really well.
So crack Europe, go to the US, cash out.
There's I honestly don't know. Like, I have no desire to get a quick paycheck. I have no desire to be the person that sold out before the thing was ready. And while I think, I can only speak for myself, but while I think I'm the right person to be working my role at the company, like I want to stay there and I want to do that, and it's really fun. And you get those moments where you're at a party or something. I was going to say party, like I don't even know where I am, but it's not a party.
A gathering.
A gathering. But like you're somewhere and someone's like, oh, I know Jitty. You're like, oh, that's amazing. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And we had Regina on podcast 49, didn't we? She was talking about setting up and running a business. And I'm going to delve back into your previous life. Usually we go the other way around. But she was saying, for 7 years, her business lost money. And for this at the moment, your investors, you've presented a plan that must say, we're going to lose,
Yeah.
invest, whichever term you want to use. How long does that burn go on for to come through the other end?
Not much longer. I think in days gone by, when you've got zero interest rates and everything's very frothy and crazy, you can go like a long time without showing any revenue, let alone any profitability. For us, I'm quite lucky of having been kind of a part of 2 tech unicorn journeys and seen various stages of various things. I like the idea of being in control of our own destiny. So for us, revenue, profitability are like mega important. I don't want to raise another round. I don't want to have to raise another round. Let me put it that way.
But you raised fairly recently. So you raised how much?
Yeah, we raised, I think it was £3 million last summer from REA Group and a bunch of smaller funds and angels.
REA Group, as in Rupert Murdoch?
Yeah.
Interesting. He's the one that made a play for Rightmove.
Yeah.
Should we join some dots there?
I should also say is like, I think Rupert Murdoch owns a part of the company that owns a part of REA rather than being his thing. But that's the
News
the media.
International
Russell
owns-
does a press release, yeah?
Well, no. News International owns a big slice of REA, right? But REA tried to buy Rightmove
Yes.
in fact, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But but back to it. So you're hoping to start turning positive revenue in the next year, 2 years. But you
For sure.
plan to lose that money, because I think the people who listen to this, we have a lot of potential entrepreneurs listening to the podcast who think, right, well, but I need to make money straight away. It is okay to have a burn for a while, isn't it? It's you've got to take that.
I had all this with the eMove business, which obviously famously failed after 9 years. And a lot of people still give me stick over the fact that, you're a failure because that business failed. There are effectively 2 types of businesses. One is the lifestyle business that you start and you want it to make money as quickly as possible. It's very conventional, very traditional, and you want to take a salary from it and probably stay in it for 20 or 30 years, maybe hand it down to your kids, right? That, I would say, is a traditional estate agency type business. Then you've got the businesses that we're talking about here with Jitty and eMove and what was Purple Bricks, but also Uber, Deliveroo, WeWork. That didn't end up quite so good. They're businesses that are designed to be risk positive, as in they take risk, and designed to grow at a loss very, very fast with a view to there being an exit. Now, ultimately, yes, you're right, Graham. You need to have a path to profitability, because you can't have a sustainable business if it never makes any money. But the thing that people don't seem to understand is that sometimes a startup type business, a growth business, is designed to lose money because you're less worried about the bottom line and only worried about the top line. Because if the top line is focused on and you grow quickly, eventually you find your
return.
way in terms of profitability. But also what you then built is a business that's doing, let's say, 100 million in revenue. That becomes very attractive and so on. And that would have been your pitch, I guess, to REA and others. I guess you talked to other investors. Did you actually tell us about that
back in
journey?
2023 was when you got your first investment round, wasn't it? So was that £2 million?
That was $2 million, which is I think 1.6 million.
How was that journey?
It was really difficult, to be honest. I was working in a venture capital fund, and they were really great, really liked them. And I said to them, right, I'm going to start fundraising for my own thing. So can I start like winding down, almost like buy a day a week each month, just winding it down? And they were great. They were like, yeah, keep us in the loop. Like you can do it. Super supportive. I got down to kind of like the 0 days per week, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm still quite far from having the money. And there was a couple of things that I'd underestimated with investors. Was they don't like to invest in prop tech, they don't like to invest in consumer stuff. Interest rates were I don't think like going crazy, but like we definitely ended the free money era. Yeah.
Frothy.
And honestly,
inflation got to like 10-11% a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. And so, interest rates go up and money goes elsewhere. So investors can't raise because they can't sell their previous assets, and suddenly everything's looking bad. LPs, so venture capital funds, their investors are moving money out of venture capital and into safer stuff because the interest rates are higher and better there. So it's all just a bit crazy. And basically, just everyone said no. And it was really, really hard. And
How many did you talk to?
In total, there are about, in terms of conversations, probably about 80.
80.
Wow.
80. Yeah. Maybe more. Like it was.
Which is very time consumptive.
Very time consuming. But like, look, I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So
but
like,
no income.
But no income.
Just belief.
So yeah, it was real belief. We got lucky. We had one lead investor from the US, which was Google's AI fund. They're called Gradient Ventures. Really lovely. I got a nice warm introduction from someone I know. And they told me like, we'll write the lead check. And then suddenly all the others are like, okay, cool, we'll join. We'll add on.
Because they've got confidence.
Yeah.
They got more confidence. And so for us, the headline ended up looking amazing. And, people come to me for advice. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I think I did it really badly. Like, it worked out, but it's incredibly challenging. It's by far
stressful. And how did it affect you personally? So through that time?
Yeah, badly. I think one of the things I've learned about people, I don't think it's just me, is that when you're faced with pressure, you lose all of your good habits and you keep all of your bad ones, they get worse. So things like exercise suddenly didn't become important, but having a couple of drinks on a Tuesday night and then being a bit hungover the next day didn't matter, like eating badly, things like that. So you start to lose sleep, and then you're more ratty and tired and whatever. So it was really difficult. Luckily, my family is super supportive. My wife, this is the first entrepreneurial venture I've ever had where my wife is like, okay, this makes sense. This can actually be a thing. Everything else she's been like, I'll support you. As a consumer, I don't really get it.
I don't get it.
Yeah, this one she's like, okay, go for it. So that was really helpful to know that even though it put us in a tricky financial position, she was on board with the decision to take the risk.
And do your co-founders help? Because not every business has co-founders, but the fact that there's three of you, does that ease the burden somewhat? Or did you have the kind of, we were talking about lane discipline earlier on, did you allocate it to say, no, you still need to focus on the tech, you need to still focus on the ops, and I'll focus on the fundraisers? So did you feel that you were on your own anyway?
In some ways, that was like my job. It was really useful having people there who I could talk to and share the burden with, and bless them, leave like hour-long voice notes of just like rambling about, this is what the person told me in the call. They're like, Graham, the call was half an hour. This voice note is an hour. Like, I don't know how that happens.
How does that correlate?
Yeah. So it was really useful. I really appreciated having them there.
And how have you changed your habits now? So what what have you left behind, or what disciplines have you put in place?
I think so. The first couple of years for the business, while it felt really existential, I was like, I don't know people want this fucking thing. Like, I don't know how people are going to react, how agents are going to react, if we can make money, et cetera, et cetera. So once we got into a position where growth was strong and our revenue funnel is starting to work and all that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I can now breathe a bit more. And just putting in like some of your classic stuff, right? Of like realistic goals that if you achieve them are still meaningful and whatever else. So like mentioned briefly before is like many people do, 1st of January, I was like, right, shall I do dry January? And I realized it's quite hard. It's quite high chance I'll fail. And also like, then what? I've done 1 month of no drinking and go back. And instead I decided to say like, how do I put in a system and build long-term habits that really serve me well, so
and
that
that you can achieve.
Business, that I can achieve. Yeah. And so for me, that was saying like, no drinking during the week ever. And that's surprisingly easy to do, because if you say no thanks, it's like I don't drink during the week, people are like, fine.
Can I ask you a horrible question? Do you think that drinking was becoming a problem for you? Or was it just a health thing generally?
It was. I wouldn't say it was a problem. I definitely, in retrospect, drank more than I would have liked to. In the same way as I go to the gym less than I'd have liked to, and I still do now, annoyingly. That's one of the ones I'm working on.
Right.
But like, it just, I find it very symptomatic of like, I'm stressed, therefore I need to unwind, and you just know you're gonna have a shit night's sleep. Even if like, maybe this is an age thing. It's I got to the point where I was like, oh, I really thought I could have 2 glasses of wine and
sleep well. Yeah.
Yeah, and have no impact at all. And I'm like, oh fuck, okay, fine. I need to even not do that. So then you're in an evening and you're like, right, I'm quite highly strung, very highly stressed. I've got 2 hours to relax before bed. How do I relax? And you realize it's like, it's a tool that's less helpful than I thought.
So what do you do if in that 2 hours thing? My solution is to watch shit telly. Seriously.
Mark Burgess wants to go ballroom dancing.
Yeah. No, seriously. I find a couple of hours of, I don't know, some
Lose
kind
yourself
of
in Landman.
box set or so. Yeah, Landman,
yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, or Succession or whatever.
Yeah.
Do that, and it's not particularly cerebral. It's not particularly kind of onerous, and
but you know you're there.
Helps you to distract yourself and unwind. So what's your thing in that 2 hours then?
It's a good question. So shit TV is definitely up there. I mean, I personally wouldn't call Succession shit TV.
No, you know what I mean, though. it's kind of, it's indulging and it's not real. As well.
I also think it's brilliant. I love The Traitors, and my son, who's like 8, has just started watching some of the celebrity ones that like we watch together. Having a young kid's really nice. It means you've got a really fun thing to series of chores to do with them and someone to play with. I do a lot of music. I haven't told anyone this, but like because you mentioned it, is like, I bought myself a keyboard, and I love Succession. Like, I adore it.
Brilliant,
and I made my own version of the theme tune, and like I realized I really enjoy doing that. So I'm currently working on the Run Forest Run theme from scene from Forrest Gump, where I'm remaking the music, and it's just a really nice way
so
to.
you rewrite it, sample it, you just mess around with it.
Well, you once you've got like a keyboard, a MIDI keyboard, and some of the software, you can just like download a free Berlin orchestra, and then when you press a note, it's the whole Berlin orchestra playing it.
Yeah.
Can you write us a theme tune?
Yes.
I will more like Succession, or more like.
Yeah, I
leave
think
it
so.
to you.
No, but
Okay.
more like the 80s Dallas.
80s Dallas. Okay.
Or The Apprentice.
J.R. Bobby. No, J.R. Sue Ellen.
So no, Sue Ellen, be kind. Come on.
I never caught Dallas myself, but I'll look at
No,
it.
you should know. No, it's an 80s version of Succession.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I've got the car.
And the other thing, if you watch West Wing,
Yes.
yeah. It's the one of the only box sets I think I've ever
But definitely
watched.
recognising that you need to do something to
Yeah.
Distract.
And when you're getting £5 million of other people's money, you need to be at the top of your game. don't
Yeah,
you?
and then you've got employees, and then the more successful the company is, like the more problems
You're a
emerge.
role
and
model as well,
You're a
aren't you?
role model, and so like things like that have been really helpful, and it's just funny. Like the first couple of years for me was just throwing energy at it, at the expense of like almost everything else. And then now I'm like, okay, cool. There's a real business here. I need to like tighten up myself.
Yeah,
to
I
better serve the business.
think in these journeys you've got to know yourself, and I think you've got to know you're not superhuman.
Yeah.
You've got to have your own kind of process in terms of, right, I know that weekends are not for work, they're for family, or I know that between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. I'm going to do the music stroke succession distraction thing. I mean, it actually took me years and years to realise.
Steve having a yellow phone and a blue phone.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
exactly.
One
But
of our
having
previous guests,
that process, I think, becomes a discipline that actually really helps you not to burn out. That burnout thing, and the trouble with burnout is most people don't even know they're burning out. Right?
Until they burn out.
Yeah. So you have to have that. So you wouldn't recommend raising money. I mean, I've done it. I've raised 27 million quid over 9 rounds. It's horrendous, lonely, stressful. It's hideous. What other tips would you give for people watching this that, you know, have an idea, maybe want to do something, whether it's property or not, and are maybe just a bit hesitant in terms of,
will people believe?
I don't know where to start. Yeah, and also I'm afraid of failure. I mean, I say fuck failure, right? And I can say that because I failed and I came out the other side. You're clearly, having been exposed to the trials and tribulations of, you know, Wise and Deliveroo and so on, although they weren't your businesses, you had equity in them by the sounds of it. So therefore, you know, you were exposed to their successes or otherwise. You clearly have a very decent appetite towards risk. What's your message to entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs watching this that might be about to go on that entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the two things for me that I think I am able to see quite clearly that makes me comfortable with risk is, first of all, really understanding what the risk actually is. If the downside is like, you know, having to tell people on LinkedIn that didn't work out, I think that's fine, but don't conflate that with like real personal financial stuff.
So what do you think real risk is? Wife leaves you, house gets repossessed.
There's some pretty bad outcomes. But I mean, and for some people it is the kind of the
everything on the line,
or your reputation or whatever. But I'm someone who cares a lot about my reputation, but I think when you realize and see, like, actually, what's it like? No one thinks about you as much as you think about yourself, or something like that. And like, you always worry what other people think about you. And for me, there's just this real, like, healthy revelation to go, if this fails, like, what people think of me is just going to be like not going to be the big thing.
Or it'll be for a day.
Yeah. And as long as I know I do the right thing, we act morally, etc. The failure itself is just a thing that happens.
Police aren't coming after you for nicking investor money or whatever. Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I think the finding, and the VC fund I was at actually kind of taught me this, is like finding the asymmetric risk of, like, for us the risk is huge. Like the probability of a company like ours failing is like, I don't know, 95% or whatever, right? Like that's just the odds, and you can try and change them. You can't change them much. So for me, it was saying, how do I pick a game that I think I have a bit of an unfair advantage in? And how do I pick a game that if I win it, it is worth
the big prize.
That big prize. And that's, when you're talking to VC investors, for example, that's the pitch to them. And it's actually amazing. One thing for anyone that does go down that fundraising route is, one of the biggest reasons I've seen them say no is because they do the back of the envelope calculations and they're like, this isn't going to be big enough for that 95%
risk.
Whatever.
You need to
risk.
believe it's $1 billion business.
Yeah. And so I think, like, when you find that asymmetric risk, you're like, go for it.
Think big and then think bigger.
Think big and think bigger, but just like, also, like, you know, if you're like, oh, I've got a certainty and it's got a small reward, great, go for that.
So upside outweighs downside.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Good.
Fascinating. We haven't even got to Deliveroo and other things, which is a story for another day. But I bet that was an incredibly exciting journey, fast-paced, and taught you so much for now, and would give investors confidence as well.
Yeah, it was a big part of building our credibility. Was, I think, between the 3 co-founders, we had something like 9 consumer tech unicorns, 9 different ones. That, like, it really helped, and it just meant that we were equipped already for a lot of the challenges that we faced. Like, we've seen a lot before, and if we haven't faced the challenge, our friends had. So we would just call them up and be like, how do you approach this?
Brilliant. Graham, that's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much. How do agents get in touch with Jitty? LinkedIn, on your own website?
LinkedIn's for me, Graham Patterson with 1 T is always useful. Otherwise, hello@jitty.com or graham@jitty.com if you want to really shout at me. If they get in touch there, we can help.
Right, this has been fascinating. And honestly, from my point of view, anyone that disrupts search, which I think is fundamentally broken, given the amount of people that move. I mean, what do we have now in this country? 1.2 million sales transactions, let alone lettings. So you've got both sides of those. The amount of people now that rely on some form of digital electronic search to try to kind of, be the beginning of their journey, that I think are badly served by Rightmove, On the Market and Zoopla. I think that is absolutely a problem worth solving, and it looks like you do that. So I genuinely wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Appreciate it, guys. Really enjoyed this chat.
Good.
Really enjoyed it.
We'll do it again.
It's great.
We'll do a part 2 when we can dig in, because we didn't even talk about mums, dads, brothers, sisters.
Yes.
Obstacles. I don't know, being dyslexic, which is Steve Eakins' thing just now, and so on. So we can maybe have you back and open you up a little
I'll
bit.
bring the whole family next time. You can just ask them.
We've got a big enough room. Well, that's it. Episode 52 in the can. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell as many people as you know to jump on the Two Russells podcast and have a listen. We move on now to episode 53. We've got some amazing guests coming up, continuing our drive to get more and more great people onto this podcast. So Russell, other podcasts can then try and book them. Is that right?
Well, they do, don't they? And look, I suppose we should be flattered. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So to all those other, apparently there are other property podcasts out there.
Tut-tuts.
Yeah, good luck. And we look forward to seeing our guests on your podcast in the not too distant
very
future.
soon. But that's all. So thank you very much for listening. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night.